Another NFL season is here, which means it's time to look at uniforms. I remember a point in time where every NFL team had their uniforms made by different companies such as Nike, Reebok, and Adidas, but also Starter, Wilson, Russell Athletic, and even Puma. That all changed in 2002 when Reebok got the exclusive license for NFL jerseys, with 2011 being their last season. Nike took over the NFL license in 2012 after Reebok, for better or for worse. Just to get this out of the way, a change for this year has been moving to a new design known as Vapor Fuse, with a new collar design, the third in the Nike era. I don't care for it, as I prefer the previous color on the Vapor Untouchable jerseys. I just think it's more clean, though it's much better looking than the first Elite 51 jersey collar with the fly wire, and I'm not just talking about the first year. Ugh. Maybe I'm just so used to the Reebok collars that it was a simple, clean design that didn't try anything fancy. Also, most of my NFL jerseys are Reeboks. The league allowing alternate helmets starting last year has been a blessing for the most part, seeing good throwbacks again and many teams being more creative with their alternate uniforms. I've already done a video on the alternate helmets and even had a section where I predicted who would be the next to jump on the alternate helmet bandwagon. Most of them ended up being right. Now for our categories, we've got needs a redesign for terrible uniforms, meh for uniforms that I don't care for, good redesign for any and all redesigns from 2011 to now, decent for ones that are pretty good in the B+ sort of way, and classic for designs that are not only good but I feel have stood the test of time. So with that being said, here is every 2023 NFL uniform ranked. Chicago Bears. The Bears uniforms have been the same since your grandparents were kids, with the only real change in my lifetime at least being the TV numbers moving from the sleeves to the top of the shoulders in 2012 to coincide with the Nike transition. I love how they've had George Halas's initials on the left sleeve since 1985, and I hope this never goes away. And why not? Halas was the founder of the team and a co-founder of the NFL as well. Their home navy is sweetness, as well as their road white. I've always liked their orange alternate ever since its debut in 2005 and returned in 2018. I've warmed up to the alternate orange helmet that arrived last year, though I blame my initial hesitation on Amazon's crappy picture quality in their debut, because they looked just fine on Fox's broadcast 2 weeks after that game. Their 1936 throwback has drawn criticism, as not only did it replace their beautiful 1940s throwbacks, but also the stripes. I understand stripes aren't for everyone, but I think this is a tolerable amount. Plus they keep it to the shoulders and socks, pairing it up with a Michigan-like 3-striped helmet. Stripes can go horribly wrong, but this is one of the better examples of lots of stripes. I'm just not bothered by it. Their color rush can take a hike. If there was one positive to the Matt Nagy era, it's that they never wore this. I've never liked how their blue jersey looks with blue pants, even as a kid before it became a special uniform designation. White on white, I don't mind if you're wondering, and it's a classic look, though it's been a long time since we've seen them do that. But thankfully, the color rush is easy for me to ignore. Even without my bias, the Bears uniforms are classics. Green Bay Packers. Oh, those dirty Packers. I gotta admit, like the St. Louis Cardinals, they've got good uniforms. These have been around for almost as long as the Bears uniforms, with minimal changes over the years after replacing navy blue with forest green. Everyone knows their green home and the white road, both paired with yellow pants. Oh, I'm sorry, gold. Gold shade of yellow? Whatever, it's yellow. Their current throwback is the best throwback they've ever had, though honestly it could also pass for a color rush. The green pants do at least help it stand out against their regular home green, even if I don't care too much for the green pants myself, though my thought is if they paired it with anything besides green pants, it'd look less distinct. At least it's no ugly circle jersey. Ugh. Their actual color rush is nothing special besides giving Green Bay white pants. I can see them pairing this up with an alternate white helmet to reference the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Frozen tundra night? Maybe I should pass that idea to Grossi. Overall, the Packers uniforms are also classics. Minnesota Vikings. After the ugly Reebok redesign of 2006, Nike took it upon themselves to make the Vikings look great again in 2013. Their home purple and road white are nice, clean looks, and I especially like how the shoulder stripes mimic the horns. However, I prefer both uniforms paired with the opposite colored pants over purple on purple or white on white. I don't care for the asymmetrical numbers. It's especially apparent if you're wearing double numbers like 22 or 33 for instance. There was supposed to be a white helmet to go with their whiteout game against the Giants last year, but that didn't make it onto the field. Their color rush is okay, though I knew someone who hated it and said they looked like grape jelly in those. Their new throwbacks for this year harken back to the 60s and 70s 90s to remind fans of the last time they were in a Super Bowl, though the helmet shell remains the same for some reason, just with a new face mask and different logo. It's a nice look, though I would have liked to have seen a dark purple helmet like they did on their throwbacks back in the day. They know they're allowed an alternate helmet, right? Just wait until next year. I still like it regardless despite not being a fan of them, and I definitely say the Vikings are a good redesign. Detroit Lions. This should be easy for me as the Lions already announced that this season is the last year of these uniforms, and thank God. The biggest positive for them is their main helmet. This version debuted in 2009 to make their logo Bubbles go from cowardly lion to actually ferocious for once, and I'd say they succeeded. In terms of the jerseys, I haven't been a fan of this design ever since its debut in 2017. Why don't I like it? Because they just copied the Bears, even down to the initials on the left sleeve. And unlike George Halas, Bill Ford had nothing to do with the founding of the Lions. It's just that the Ford family still owns them. It's one thing to use a general uniform format that uses block numbers, but this is a pretty specific design they chose to use, and they didn't even do that well. I don't like the silver numbers on the blue home jersey because I don't feel they stand out in action, and I've never been a fan of the white road jersey with blue pants combination. I realize both have been on Lions uniforms before, but that's no excuse for it looking bad here. Plus, blue pants never look good on them. Stick to silver. The white jersey also has alternate white pants that have been paired with them since 2021. They're whatever. I still don't like this dull gray color rush, and I feel their awesome alternate helmet deserves better. Personally, I would have paired it with their all blue look. Their throwback jersey is probably the best in their current lineup, but I always thought it looked like a practice jersey, especially compared to other throwbacks to the same era. I think it's due to a lack of shoulder stripes if you were to compare it to similar jerseys such as the Bears and Packers throwbacks. And frankly, I don't think they should have changed to this style in the first place. Sure, the Stafford Megatron era jerseys weren't mind-blowing, but they were at least distinct. If it wasn't obvious, the Lions need another redesign anyways, and I hope they come up with something good and unique to them. We'll have to wait and see. Pray that effort goes in this time. New York Giants. After a uniform change in 2000, the Giants have looked pretty good for the most part, including changing the road jersey in 2005. Yes, I realize they are big blue, but big blue also has red in their color scheme. I like their blue home, though I don't care about changing from gray pants to white pants ever since they crept in during 2013. The white road sports mostly red, and I'm not bothered by it as much as others. Think of this akin to how the Tigers have orange on their road jerseys but not their home jerseys. That's how I see it. Their color rush is a nice throwback to the road jersey from the Bill Parcells era, and is capped off by the beautiful home version that debuted last year with their alternate helmet. I hope this alternate helmet gets paired with the white version as well. It just makes sense to. Many people aren't too keen on the Giants' current uniforms and would rather they go back to this look, but I still think the Giants' uniforms are classic regardless. Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are interesting in that there is a home jersey, they just rather keep wearing white at home most of the time. That came from an era before it became easier to travel across the country, cable TV, the internet, and streaming. Wear your home jersey at home like everyone else, and you have a retractable roof, so don't try bringing the weather in either. I realize they've worn their blue jerseys at home on occasion lately, but I'd rather it be full-time at home. Anyways, 1996 is when the current version of the blue jersey debuted with the Cowboys word mark above the numbers. It looks great, just wish we saw this more often. Typically you see this mostly whenever the home team wants to spite Dallas, like when they're playing an early season road game in Florida, playing in LA, or an NFC East rival, as the blue jerseys have been seen as unlucky. I just think it's an excuse. The white jersey has remained untouched since its debut in 1964, and while I'm sick of always looking at it, it's still a nice clean look objectively speaking. Their color rush isn't my favorite and still looks strange with the white helmet, but man do their throwbacks always look beautiful. I have nothing bad to say about these. I'm just so glad that we got to see these again after a decade-long absence. With how lukewarm I am on the color rush, but especially sick of always seeing their white jersey, I can't rank the Cowboys any higher than decent. Call it fatigue or whatever, I just wish Dallas had more uniform variety from game to game. I'd say the fatigue from seeing Dallas in white constantly is on par with hearing Cowboy fans touting how it's our year, and not even seeing the NFC Championship game, let alone the Super Bowl, since before I reached my first birthday. Honestly, if you must insist on wearing white at least once at home, then wear white at the first home game. It's been working for the Texans, Philadelphia Eagles. And here's our recent runner-up. Ever since the Midnight Green's debut in 1996, people have been clamoring for the Eagles to go back to Kelly Green. Although I can't think of another team off the top of my head that's Midnight Green, so it's at least unique. This mid-90s redesign I feel has stood the test of time, and I've always been a fan of their home green and road white jerseys. 2003 was the first year we got the black alternate, and it still looks immaculate, serving as the Eagles' color rush. I never cared for the alternate black helmet they had last year, though their color rush is going to go back to being paired with the regular green helmet to make way for the return of the Kelly Green throwbacks, specifically the version from 1985 to 1995. Man, do these look great, and it more than makes up for that mediocre black helmet. The Midnight Green is more than likely going to stay, especially since the team has worn these in 3 Super Bowls now. I know people want Kelly Green back full-time, but I think the Midnight Green has stood the test of time, making the Eagles classic. Washington Commanders. The good news is that you're finally freed from Dan Snyder. The bad news is that you have the worst rebrand and redesign compared to the Guardians and Elks. And those rebrands aren't great either. It makes too much sense that a plain generic name like Commanders wear plain generic Nike drivel. This W on the helmet has no character, and not just compared to the Redskins logo. It is such a boring logo. The home burgundy is whatever, and the home white has a gradient effect on the numbers and shoulder stripes, so it looks like they've been chipped after one too many wash cycles. At least they sport the team name at home and the city on the road. Still not too keen on the lack of TV numbers, and I know they weren't the first team to do bare shoulders, but it just adds to the blandness. And this black color rush, yawn. I don't know why they bother with this and keep the football team style of numbers on the helmets. No thank you. Plus, it just looks like a ripoff of the Steelers. Come on guys, that's Iowa's job. Considering new ownership is more than likely going to change their name again, and which will require new uniforms, it's no wonder the Red Manders need a total redesign. I'd rather see them go back to Redskins with at least proper updates of their previous uniforms, like migrating the TV numbers to the shoulders, but I feel it's as slim as the Coyotes moving to Quebec City. One can only hope. New Orleans Saints. The Saints uniform lineup has been tweaked ever since the team's inaugural season. This version of the home black jersey debuted in 1996, whereas this version of the road white debuted in 1999 along with the black pants. The Saints look great in their home black, whether they've got on gold pants or black pants, though I prefer black with gold, to be honest. Last year we saw the black jersey with white pants, and it looked off in my eyes. Maybe because they hadn't done that in so long. Their road white, again, I prefer with their gold pants, but to each their own. Lately they paired it with white pants, which I don't really care for. What I do like is their 1967 throwbacks that returned last year for the first time since 2016. They're pretty cool looking, but considering how they're not too different from their current uniforms, I can see why they don't bring this look out as often as other teams with throwbacks. Their color rush is a neat throwback to their original road jerseys from 1967 to 1969, though last year it became paired with a black alternate helmet. This combo is meant to reference 1969, but I think I'd prefer this helmet with the all black look. But regardless, the Saints are a classic. Carolina Panthers. Ever since their debut in 1995, the Panthers uniform lineup has been pretty consistent, though the TV numbers have been shrinking lately. Look how big they are on Steve Smith's shoulders from a decade ago, and here they are now. The home black and white road are still good looking regardless, no matter which pants they're paired with, though the tiny numbers make it look like the players are trying to fit into a youth-sized shirt. I've always liked their blue alternate, no matching pants anymore, thank God, and their black alternate helmet is cool too. I liked it last year paired with the all-black look, and even this year with the blue jersey and black pants. Overall, I think the Panthers are a modern classic, though I wouldn't be surprised if a redesign is on the horizon for them. That will be a sad day indeed. Atlanta Falcons. When the Falcons released their new design in 2020, everyone including myself scratched their heads. I can understand wanting new uniforms since their Reebok redesign will forever be associated with a certain Super Bowl, but these are underwhelming. The matte black helmet is whatever, don't know why we couldn't keep a glossy black. The home black looks okay with either black or white pants, and the white road also looks okay with either black or white pants. However, they never released the red pants meant to go with the white jersey. How strange. Neither jersey is bad, but they're nothing that special. They're not grasping me. Speaking of red, the red gradient jersey is gone. It seems that the team got the gist that most people found it to be ugly and looks even worse if you don't pair it with black pants in public. Just watch them bring red back without the black gradient in a year or so. Getting rid of that opens the door to wear their throwback more often. Now, originally, we saw this throwback debut with red helmets to reference the Falcons' original look. But once the NFL banned alternate helmets, it was changed to a 90s Jerry Glanville throwback and stayed that way until last year. Now it's the original Falcons throwback that supposedly also references Georgia football for probably finally living up to their potential, and a gold stripe to reference Georgia Tech for existing and being in Atlanta as well. While I like the throwback, the main two uniforms don't wow me, and overall the Falcons are meh, kind of like how they are on the field. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After looking like this from 2014 to 2019, the Bucs decided to go back to their previous looks starting in 2020 while keeping the 2014 version of the logo. Good thinking, because I feel this is the best Tampa has ever looked. Their red home is beautiful, and I like it paired with the pewter pants. Not so much the white pants, if I'm honest. I don't know. It just doesn't look right. The white road is also beautiful, whether paired with pewter or matching white pants, and then there's the all pewter color rush. It's the least colorful of their jerseys in their history, but not bad looking, and at least the format is good to start. And speaking of colorful, coming back for this year is Bucko, Bruce, and the Creamsicles, baby. They were meant to debut last year, but hey, better late than never. Just absolutely immaculate. If it wasn't obvious, I think the Bucs are a good redesign. Los Angeles Rams. After wearing mismatched helmets and uniforms from 2017 to 2019, the Rams debuted new uniforms in 2020 that everyone seemed to hate, and not just for all the Angelo State comparisons, myself included. Even to this day, I'm not a fan of the helmet color and feel they should have stuck with navy, though I guess it's growing on me. I did eventually get used to at least the home blue. I think the white to yellow gradient on the numbers looks silly, and it's the only uniform of theirs to do that. I like this paired with yellow pants the most. White pants are okay, but the blue pants could take a hike. Seeing the Rams as a solid block of royal blue just doesn't look right. Their white road started life as an alternate in 2021, meant to homage the uniforms they wore when they won Super Bowl 34, you know, when they were in St. Louis. But regardless of that, I think this is the best of the three and what sold me on this redesign. It does look like an old Rams uniform the most, but updated to today's design aesthetic, and it works. Again, keep it paired with yellow pants, because the blue pants just look out of place and look like sweatpants in comparison. And finally, this thing. Originally, this was the main road jersey in bone white from 2020 to 2021 before becoming an alternate last year. This is definitely on its way out to make room for an all yellow color rush, or even a throwback whenever the team gets around to either. The color makes it look sweaty, though it looks best with the yellow pants. Noticing a pattern? For some reason, it's the only one with TV numbers, and they looked like they were tacked on the sleeves at the last minute. After being used to the blue jersey and liking this newer white jersey, this may be a hot take, but I think the Rams are a good redesign. Seattle Seahawks. When Nike took over the license from Reebok, the Seahawks were the first team they completely redesigned. And why not? Seattle is the closest NFL city to their headquarters in Oregon, and the Reebok redesign was admittedly aging. Enter this version, which changed uniforms going forward. Even 11 years later, this still looks fantastic. The home navy is beautiful and looks best paired with matching navy blue pants, and the white road looks phenomenal no matter what. Everything flows perfectly into place. And like I've said in previous videos, I like their Mountain Dew flavored color rush, and not just because it's better than their first attempt at a green jersey. However, pairing this up with the blue pants reminds me of that, unfortunately. I think it's appealing as is and fits the color rush concept the best. Now, they did get rid of their Wolfpack gray alternate, and it was one of the better gray jerseys out there, although you'd only ever see them wear it on the road, mostly against the Cardinals. In its place, the Seahawks have a throwback to their 1983 to 2001 home look. This looks amazing, and I'm glad the Seahawks jumped on the alternate throwback helmet bandwagon. If it wasn't obvious enough, the Seahawks are a good redesign. Arizona Cardinals. Oh god, what have we here? I didn't mind the Cardinals 2005 Reebok redesign when it came out, but as the years went on and they added color rush and the black alternate helmet, the design just looked older and outdated. Now they've redesigned, and it's amazing going from Seattle to this. It seems like all they did was remove the swooshing lines from the Reebok jerseys and called it a day. The home red is the worst offense because it is so plain. There is zero contrast and is just a single block of red with numbers on it. This is also the only one with TV numbers on the shoulders and has Arizona on the front. The white road and black alternate are slightly better in that they have shoulder stripes to break things up, and this black jersey looks better than the previous two black jerseys, but that's it. Why don't these have Arizona on them? I understand that the Cardinals pre-2005 jerseys had the red jersey being different from the white road, but it looked stupid back then and is moronic to try and recreate that here. And notice they've only got 3 jerseys now. Why not have a throwback take up the 4th spot? It's something you could wear in a game where you honor Pat Tillman, or at least give an excuse to break out the old logo on the helmet. The only positive part of these uniforms is the logo. I'm glad we kept the version from the Reebok redesign, but it's also the version that we saw in their black helmets with the random black shading for some reason. Why not the clean version of the logo? Yeah, swing and a miss. I won't be surprised if the Cardinals get another redesign in the near future. San Francisco 49ers. Last year, the 49ers slightly retooled their uniforms but dubbed it as brand new uniforms, even though all they did was change the word mark above the numbers and added a 3rd shoulder stripe. At least it doesn't detract from what is a beautiful uniform. After having darker reds and 3D numbers through the late 90s to mid 2000s, the Niners decided to go back to basics in 2009, bringing back the scarlet red and normal core block numbers. The red home and white road are gorgeous. I can't say anything bad about them. In 2018, we got white throwbacks, their 1994 throwbacks based on their 1955 look. It looks good, and in 2021, they gave us the beautiful red version. Yeah, no doubt about it, the Niners are classic. Pittsburgh Steelers. Ever since changing number fonts in 1997, the Steelers have been consistently good. Even if you hate the Steelers, you gotta admit that their look is iconic for a reason. The black home is as gorgeous as ever, as well as their white road, both paired with yellow pants just like Green Bay. I'm sorry, gold! It's freaking yellow, okay? Their color rush is immaculate, if you will. Though I wouldn't mind seeing this paired with a yellow helmet like the 2007 to 2011 version of this throwback. Their other alternate uniform isn't anything special on paper, but means a lot to many, and that's the Iron Curtain 70s throwbacks. Yeah, it's just their regular uniforms but with block numbers, but that's what they were. No doubt about it, the Steelers are classic. Baltimore Ravens. Ever since Art Modell ripped the heart out of Cleveland, the Ravens have been consistent as well. This version of their uniform debuted in 1999 and has looked great since. Their home purple is just as good as ever, just don't pair it with gold pants. Matching it with purple pants doesn't look that good either in my eyes. The white road also looks phenomenal no matter what pants they pair it up with. The black alternate is beautiful and makes perfect sense. Black and purple is a great color scheme. Their color rush is basically a copy of the Vikings, except with gold numbers instead of yellow. It looks alright, though I wouldn't mind if this was replaced with a 1996 throwback. Overall, the Ravens are also a classic. Cleveland Browns. I'll give Nike this. They did try their best to redesign the plainest look in the NFL back in 2015. Obviously, it wasn't good enough to stay around, and the Browns went back to their old look in 2020. Like the Bucs, they kept the redesigned helmet, the burnt orange color in this case, and man is it stunning. The brown home makes the color brown look beautiful whether paired with orange pants or white pants, preferably orange in my eyes. The white road is also fantastic and gets optional brown pants which look better than the first attempt. Oddly, the Browns don't wear their color rush this year like in 2021. Instead, we've got their white 1946 throwback again, and this time it has an alternate white helmet. They must have watched my video. It looks good, but could someone please tell Cleveland that they're allowed to have 2 alternates in a season? Still, the Browns are a good redesign. Cincinnati Bengals. After the Reebok redesign ran its course and to firmly establish the Joe Burrow era, Cincy came out with new duds for the 2021 season. These jerseys took the Reebok version and made it better. Whether paired with black or white pants, the black home looks incredible with its shoulder stripes and Bengals word mark across the front that thankfully isn't too big. Same goes for the white road. The orange alternate looks incredible as well, but the one that steals the show is the color rush with its white alternate helmet, calling back to the Cincinnati Zoo's white tiger. Yeah, if it wasn't obvious enough, the Bengals are a good redesign. New England Patriots. In 2000, New England gave us an iconic uniform lineup that defined a dynasty. Then literally a month after Brady signed with Tampa, in came new uniforms for 2020. Well, sort of new. The blue home was originally their color rush that debuted in 2016, which was decent in that it mixed the Pats' then current style with some retro touches like the over-the-shoulder stripes. I thought it was alright as an alternate uniform, but as a main uniform, it's not doing much for me. Maybe it's because I got used to this as an alternate, but I don't feel there's enough going on compared to the previous version to make this stand out on its own as a main jersey, especially in monochromatic blue. Now, we did get to see this with gray pants last year, but we all know how that game went. The road version isn't that much better in my eyes. It's whatever. Honestly, it's like they saw what the Montreal Alouettes did with their uniforms in 2019 and copied them. Now they're throwback. This is the most interesting, bringing back the red jerseys as well as Pat Patriot. Is the return of this uniform why Montreal brought in that all-red alternate this year? I'm just speculating. But overall, the Pats don't wow me and are meh. I can see them returning to their previous look in a couple of years. New York Jets. In 2019, the Jets went back to green helmets after 20 years of having white helmets again. The first time I saw this, I thought it looked fine, even if they resembled the Saskatchewan Roughriders. However, I've grown to like the Jets' current look more and more. Their home green is beautiful in what they call Gotham green, same with their road white. Their black color rush is one of my favorites, especially when they brought in the black alternate helmet to go with it. New for this year, we've got the legacy white throwbacks, their 1978 to 1989 road uniforms, which look okay, even after watching it in action on Monday Night Football. Compared to the rest of their uniform lineup, while it makes sense, it's kind of boring in comparison. Also, the helmet is inaccurate, but they've already used up one of their alternate helmet spots and have to make do with what they've got. However, overall, the Jets are a good redesign. Hey, they finally beat the Patriots in something. Buffalo Bills. For Reebok's last year holding the NFL license, they introduced new Bills uniforms for the 2011 season after the controversial 2002 redesign. It's basically an updated version of their 75 to 83 uniforms, but still nice regardless. The home blue is beautiful as well as the road white, better than the first Reebok redesign hands down. Their color rush is a beautiful red and is just begging for an alternate red helmet. Last year Josh Allen teased a red helmet and this year a blue helmet, and yet no news in terms of alternate helmets for the Bills. How strange. Personally, I would have preferred a red helmet in general. Nothing wrong with the white helmet, I just think this logo looks better with a red background. However, I think this was intentional as a red helmet wouldn't be able to accommodate an old school standing buffalo logo that only ever gets paired up with white on white. I only just realized while editing that the sleeve stripes on the throwback are different from the regular white jersey. Whatever, at least it doesn't detract from the overall score of a good redesign. Miami Dolphins. In 2013, the Dolphins did something controversial. Not only did they change their uniforms, but the logo also changed. I'm mixed on this logo because while I feel it's a decent update, I think I still prefer the old logo. But for uniforms, the home teal is gorgeous as well as the road white, far surpassing the honestly dated uniforms that preceded it, carried over from Dan Marino's last days as a Dolphin. They were also the first to do home and road throwbacks before the 49ers and Giants did, even if it was to mostly have an excuse to get rid of their color rush. These throwbacks are meant to resemble their 66 to 73 uniforms, and they are beautiful in either home teal or road white. So yeah, even while being iffy on the logo, I still think the Dolphins are a good redesign. Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have had the same uniforms for basically forever, even foregoing the move of putting the TV numbers on the shoulders. In 2020, they made a slight change in their number font so it was no longer a plain block text, as well as add black as a tertiary color. Even with the new font, the blue home and white road are as good as they've ever been. Their throwback uniforms are decent and honestly make me wish the Colts decided to move the TV numbers up on the shoulders, even if looking at it closely it kinda looks like a blue version of the Niners home jersey. And new for this year, the Indiana Knights uniform. It uses an alternate black helmet, features black outline numbers, black collars, white and black shoulder stripes, and their alternate C logo. Better than the Maple Leafs attempt to add black, that's for sure. It's simultaneously different but familiar and definitely more creative than their color rush. That one is just their home blue paired with matching blue pants. Big whoop! So overall, the Colts are a classic. Tennessee Titans. These guys had a uniform change in 2018 after wearing the same uniform since changing the name back in 1999 after being the Tennessee Oilers for the first 2 seasons after the move from Houston. But did they do good? Well, they went from a white helmet to a navy blue helmet, which I don't care too much for. Their home navy looks pretty nice, though it looks best when paired with matching navy pants. Their road white is also nice looking too, though both of these together make me think of the Toronto Argonauts up until the Argos changed their uniforms this year. It's not a bad thing, it's just similar to many Argos uniforms. The baby blue alternate I feel got downgraded. It's not bad by itself, but it looks mismatched when paired with the navy helmet versus when it was paired with a white helmet. Matching it up with baby blue pants doesn't help either, but at least they don't look like the Smurfs anymore. And new for this year, the return of the Oilers. I'm glad they went with the 84-98 version of the Oilers home jersey because you've got both the white helmets and the brighter love ya blue shade. No offense against the 60-64 throwbacks they wore back in the day, I just prefer this version. And with that, I'd say the Titans for the most part are a good redesign. Jacksonville Jaguars. After wearing what I feel are the worst uniforms ever from 2013 to 2017, the Jags went back to basics, but maybe a little too basic? Let me explain. They kept the revamped logo from their first Nike redesign, but thankfully put it on a plain glossy black helmet rather than this matte black to gold fade crap from before. Their home jersey went back to teal and looks gorgeous, as well as their white road and black alternate, regardless of whether they're paired with white, black, or teal pants. I'm surprised they haven't introduced a throwback ever since going back to a normal core black helmet. Maybe someone should bring it up to them. They don't look bad, but there's also no contrast. Maybe if they added some sleeve stripes or other highlights, it would elevate these uniforms more. There's also a lack of gold, but perhaps they wanted to separate this uniform from the previous version, since that uniform tried to emphasize gold more and become the secondary color while relegating teal to tertiary status. It's kind of ironic that they went from the busiest uniforms in the league to one of the more simplistic looks. However, everything is at least consistent across the board, and the Jags have a unique color scheme to begin with, which is why I think the Jags are a good redesign. Houston Texans. Along with Detroit, the Texans have also announced that this is the last year of their current look. Unlike Detroit, the Texans have looked like this since their inception in 2002. The home navy has always looked nice, as well as the white road, but I have to admit they are showing their age. I do like their battle red uniforms, even with their new alternate red helmet. I still find the color rush to be ugly, and if the Cardinals' new black jersey is any indication, I predict the Texans' 2024 home jersey will look more like this than the regular one. While I admit it's a dated look, I don't think it's bad. I'll still label the Texans as decent. Kansas City Chiefs, and now the defending champs. Clark Hunt has made it clear recently that the franchise has no plan to add alternate uniforms, and frankly, I don't feel Kansas City needs them either, no matter how many listings for yellow or black Chiefs jerseys there may be. Much like the Bears, the Chiefs moved the TV numbers from the sleeves to the top of the shoulders when Nike took over in 2012. The home red is so iconic at this point, and the white road is equally beautiful. I even like the AFL patch added with Lamar Hunt's initials that was added in 2007 and kept since. Their color rush, of course, is lazy because it's just the red jersey paired with red pants. Whoop-de-doo! It's the same reason I prefer the white jersey with red pants combo to break up all the white, and I just find it to be nicer. But overall, the Chiefs are a classic. Las Vegas Raiders, and now the Chiefs' mortal enemy. Even despite relocating 3 times, the Raiders have looked consistently great. These uniforms are so influential. The White Sox and LA Kings were inspired by them in the late 80s and early 90s for their own uniforms. This home black is untouchable. That's how good it is. You look at the black jersey with silver numbers, you know who this is. I even dig how they kept the TV numbers on the sleeves rather than migrate them to the top of the shoulders like the Bears and Chiefs did. That's pure tradition right there. The road white is also great looking, looking, and so is their color rush. This color rush is meant to be a throwback, though ever since the color rush program ended, we've seen this uniform paired up with the regular silver pants instead. Still looks good regardless. Yeah, no doubt about it. The Raiders are a classic. Denver Broncos. These uniforms have always been controversial since debuting in 1997, also made by Nike, funny enough, even though it coincided with 2 straight Super Bowl wins and their Lord and Savior John Elway finally reaching the top. Their home orange starred life as an alternate in 2002, but became the main jersey once Nike took over in 2012 due to fans wanting orange to be worn at home full time again. I don't mind this jersey, but I don't think it's strong enough as a main like the Patriots color rush becoming the main, at least with this design. Personally, I prefer when the navy blue was the main home jersey, but now it's an alternate and looks beautiful with either white pants or matching navy pants. I even like the road white as well. Their awesome color rush is meant to be a throwback, even down to using their old school D logo. Recently, the color rush finally got an alternate helmet and it's white? Why? Well, first of all, they call it the snow-capped helmet, and is meant to reference all those snowy mountains that Colorado is known for, besides the influx of millennial stoners. That's all fine and dandy, but why not save that reference for a Nugget City jersey? It sounds more fitting there than here, or maybe it's meant to be an OJ reference. What I'm trying to say is that the helmet should have been royal blue. Like the team itself, there's a lot of baffling decisions that could have been done differently, and for me at least, lands the Broncos at meh. Los Angeles Chargers. After holding on to their 2007 Reebok redesign for frankly longer than they should have, the Bolts debuted new uniforms in 2020 that everyone immediately praised. Not gonna lie, I was one of them. Nike took all eras of Chargers history and ran with it in flying colors. Their powder blue home is beautiful with its number font and shoulder-mounted lightning bolts, and looks best when paired with yellow pants in my eyes. It just pops better than the white pants. Bringing back the TV numbers on the helmet was a good call, and thankfully they didn't put them on the shoulders as well, causing redundancy like the football team did. Their white road is also beautiful with either pants color, but then we get to their 2 color rushes. First one is an all royal blue referencing the Air Coryell era of Chargers football and looks better than those original uniforms did. Second one is an all navy referencing the 90s to mid 2000s uniform, though this one could also use an alternate navy blue helmet as the white helmet looks out of place with it. Get on to fixing that, guys. However, none of that detracts from the Chargers being a good redesign. So that's all of them ranked. It's amazing how most of the time the NFL hits it out of the park with their uniforms that even become timeless. They've still got their duds, but comparatively, they're few and far between compared to the good ones. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a comment, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all later.